BBC Essex News and Sport. It's 8:05.
Thank you, Tim.
Saturday Breakfast with Cass Melandri. This is BBC Essex.
Good morning to you. Now, on BBC Essex, we often have personal and moving stories from Essex people. And this morning is no exception. We're about to have a chat with Steve Dunster from Great Barrow, who lost his wife to a rare form of cancer. And after coping with that and still in the midst of grief, has decided to do something to try and help others. So I'm joined in studio not just by Steve, but also by Tim Crook, who was the doctor that treated Steve's wife. So good morning to you both. Thank you so much for coming in.
Good morning. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Now, Steve, I know this isn't an easy conversation, okay? So you take your time and you tell me what you can tell me, okay? Your wife, Sharon, how long had you been married and what happened when she was diagnosed?
Well, we were married for 44 years. It was one of those marriages everybody said it would never work. We were married for 44 years. What happened with us, we ran a small engineering company. We were reasonably successful. And in November in 2015, we both said, right, we're going to retire. Both 65, it was the time to do it. We went on a holiday, made a decision when we came back in January we were going to tell the people that worked for us, and they all knew we were going to do it anyway, it's a small company. And in January the 8th, she had a tumour appear from the lower part of her body, I'll put it that way.
Thank you.
And it all started from there. Within 11 months she was dead. She had 34 days in Ipswich Hospital. She was the longest person in the ward there. She knew all the young nurses. She was mother hen to them all. She came out from there. We had about a month at home where we thought we were through it. And then unfortunately it came back.
Now, this was a rare form of cancer, which is why it was not so easily detected.
That's right. I mean, when it all happened, obviously there was a shock. The local doctors, not decrying them, but they didn't know what it was. They hadn't seen it. So then we went to Springfield Medical and we saw a specialist there, and he said he thought it was more, a bad cancer, that they didn't really know that much about. But what he did was, within, I think it was 2 days, we were in Bromford Hospital and she had all the tests done.
Got it.
And they said, this is it. And then, straight from there, it was probably, she's going to die. And that was it. I mean, we even went to, when we went to Ipswich before the operation, we were sat and we were told she was going to die. It was going to be palliative care and that was it. But could we come back the next day? And we saw the surgeons there and they said, there's just enough margin, we think we can do this. You've got to make a decision.
So you had some hope
and then it went again, yeah. Which very often, as Tim will probably, this is what happens.
I can't imagine how you're feeling right now. You take a second, please, Steve, because I'm going to bring Tim in at this point. One of the doctors that treated Sharon, Tim Crook, over at Bromfield Hospital. Tim, welcome to the programme. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
How rare? Can you tell us what Sharon had and how rare it is?
Yeah, it's a disease called mucosal melanoma.
So melanoma, when I think of that, I think of all the moles that I've got, and I keep checking them to make sure they're all right. But mucosal melanoma, what's the difference?
There's 3 types of melanoma. There's cutaneous melanoma, ocular melanoma, which arises from the melanocytes or pigment-forming cells in the eye, and the disease that Sharon had, mucosal melanoma, which arises from the lining tissues of the body. So it's an internally arising melanoma as opposed to a cutaneous melanoma.
So the ones you may have heard about is watch out for any moles that are bleeding or red or sore or change. Even just a change, you've got to go and get someone to look at them. But this is something that is really hard to detect.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges in managing the disease, that it's relatively asymptomatic until it's more advanced.
And is that why survival's quite tricky with it, because it's not picked up till too late?
That's part of the story. The other is that the biology or the natural history of a mucosal melanoma is very different from a cutaneous or skin melanoma. The genetics are different. There's less opportunity to use the targeted drugs that are effective now in cutaneous melanomas, and it's less responsive to immunotherapy, which has revolutionised the management of skin melanomas.
Got it. So this is just all round harder to treat. I'm going to bring it back to you, Steve, because in the midst of what would be, I can't imagine the kind of grief you must be going through. To have lost someone so loved and so wonderful from everything you've already said. But you've decided to do something positive with it, haven't you?
Yeah. It was an interesting situation. I mean, I met Tim before Sharon had the operation because Tim was going to try, if we'd have got time, to shrink the tumours so they got more of a chance of taking them out. But we didn't have the time. It was literally within a couple of months. If we'd have left it, she'd have been gone then. Tim sort of then came back in on the scene when it came back again, and she had the immunotherapy in Broomfield, and she was the first person, wasn't she, in Broomfield Hospital to have immunotherapy. It's quite heavy going, isn't it? It's sort of double treatments of everything. We had 2 goes at that, but no, it wasn't to be.
But now you've decided to do something for others.
What happened was I had some money, I had about £5,000, I think it was, donations when she passed away from business friends and various people. I saw Tim, and Tim said, well, there's nobody really researching it. Because I specifically wanted it to go to mucosal melanoma. And then we got talking, and then it all started, didn't it?
So you've actually put together, let me get this straight now, this is the SharonDunster Foundation.
That's right.
And if you want to find about it, anyone listening, go online, SharonDunsterFoundation.com. And it's Dunster, DUNSTER Foundation.com. Go and check it out. It explains it all on there.
Yeah.
But it's your opportunity to, Tim explained, to fund research on this.
Yeah, it is. Making progress in diseases like this is absolutely underpinned and dependent on research science. And increasingly that means genomics, understanding the changes in the genes, both the structure and expression of the genes that drive the disease. And knowledge of those processes in mucosal melanoma is very much suboptimal, incomplete, poorly researched, because it's a relatively uncommon cancer.
It doesn't affect loads of people, but when it does, it's really, really difficult to treat.
It's a very aggressive, treatment refractory disorder, very challenging.
So when you say that phrase, you mean it's just hard to treat?
Yeah.
Got it.
But I mean, with my wife, to give you an instance of it, a week before she had the op, and she knew she was going to go in for this operation, she was at a party. And she's, I know what happened when she went down for the operation, just before she went to sleep, and it was 8 hours on the table. She turned around and she said, am I dreaming? Am I going to wake up? I don't feel ill.
I can't... Steve, you're being remarkably strong, and I know for a fact that you are devastated by her passing, and we're very grateful you've come to talk to us about this. Did she know you were going to do this, or was this after she passed away?
We were always... it's all car orientated, what I've been doing. We're car people. And it all fell in place, really. We did a dinner, a charity ball. We raised £5,500 on one night up at Channels. That was a really good night. And then it all went on from there. But people have said to me, why did I do it? And I want to help people. If people are going to walk that road that I walked, it's hell.
Of course, absolutely, of course. Sharon sounds like an incredible person. Tell me a little bit more about her.
She used to work at a place called Hargrave House, with handicapped or children with needs. She was always outgoing, fun, life and soul of the party. She just enjoyed life.
I think it would go without saying that she'd be so proud of you right now. She'd be so grateful that you were not just sitting there being upset, which is within your right. No, but you are allowed to sit there and feel grief and feel sad.
I mean, look, I had a situation where January the 8th this all happened. In 11 months I lost my wife, I shut my company, which we lived for, we worked together for 20 odd years. I lost everything. So what do you do? If you sit there and mope... No.
Most people, Steve, will just try and deal with this terrible loss they're going through. Yeah. But the fact that you've decided to turn this into something so positive, I think is just amazing. I really do. And I salute you, and I'm convinced of the kind of person Sharon was you've just described.
Okay.
She would be so proud. And if she's looking down on you, she's smiling.
Thank you.
So we really appreciate it. So just quickly tell us again what you're looking for and how people can help.
Well, so the car thing has come through. We did the summer ball at Channels, and then through various people I know, I got invited to go to Chelmsford City Racecourse. thought, do another summer ball. I can do that. Never done one before, except it was the first one. I'll do that. That's easy. Sat there talking to them, and they've been fantastic. They turned around and said, because they knew my car interests, do you want to do a car show? And it was one of those moments in life. I went in there to organise a summer ball, and I came out, and I've got the whole of Chelmsford City Racecourse for 2 days, all the buildings, all the marquees, everything, and I'm doing a big car show.
Think of the difference that you can make. You personally, just little old you,
it's going to
you're
be,
doing incredible things. You really are.
I mean, the car show itself, the size of it, it went from being sort of a reasonably small one to now we've taken over the whole infield. We've got things like 40 Mustangs coming, we've got 40 Subarus, we've got Rolls Royce, Lamborghini, we've got Ford, we've got all the main dealers.
When's this? What can we do to make sure people know about it?
27th and 28th of July.
Okay, good to know.
It's the first week of the children's holidays, so if you're in a situation where you don't know what to do with your kids, you've got somewhere to go on the Sunday or the Saturday.
There's a
both
great
days.
cause to support and a great event.
It's £10 a head to come in. It's not just a car show. We've got flying birds of prey. We've got the Essex Police are bringing their drones, and I always laugh about it. It's the drone flying squad, and they're doing display. We've got all sorts.
Listen, to the two of you, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming in, Tim Crook, who's Sharon's doctor at Brimfield Hospital, but in particular, Steve, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. We're running out of time, so be really quick.
One thing I do want to say to everybody out there, all the car freaks, on the Saturday night we have a dinner dance there, and it's £45 a head, but we've got a guest speaker, and the guest speaker is Richard Noble, the world land speed record holder. He's coming to Chelmsford specifically to do this for our charity.
Okay, got to leave it there, but thank you so much, and that sounds like a massive draw.